Yes, I really should take care of this. This is very good. Yes, yes. Oh, hello, my friends. It's good to see you. Always good to see you. I'm not going to do story day today. I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. It's been a very busy day here at the North Pole. But I did see that the flag is up on the mailbox, so we're going to answer a letter if there's a letter for me. So let's find out. Oh, there is. Santa's got mail. Ah, that's swell. Let's see what it says. Dear Santa, over the Christmas season, it's from little Richie Fader of East Edison, New Jersey, by the way. It says, Dear Santa, over the holidays, I happened to purchase a product that is made by one of your sponsors, Mrs. Hockenberger's Butter Cookies. I found Mrs. Hockenberger's butter cookies to be stale, and Mrs. Hockenberger's imported Norwegian butter cookies, to be precise. I found them to be stale, tasteless, and well, let's just stop right here and address this. I don't need to go any further. Mrs. Hockenberger's butter cookies. Yes, indeed, Mrs. Hockenberger and her butter cookies are one of our sponsors. I don't get the big deal sponsors like I did back in the old days. A certain pop drink that still loves to use me, but now it's polar bears. Polar bears are cuter than Santa and funnier, so, you know, they don't use me anymore. They're not doing a lot of TV specials anymore with the little puppet tunes, so that's gone as well. So I have some things like Mrs. Vilviachki's cabbage rolls, which I personally eat. The reindeers eat them all the time. And, of course, things like Mrs. Hockenberger's butter cookies and Mrs. McNutley's fruitcakes, which I don't... Hell, it's holding the door open. Never mind. Anyway, these are my sponsors these days. I'm still looking for sponsors, big corporations, because, you know, it costs money to build toys and ship them out to you sweet little kitties. But, you know, I got to take what I can get. But let me address this one at a time. First of all, little Richie Fader, you went out and you purchased this your tin of butter cookies for your Aunt Esme. I can see what you're doing in my magic crystal ball. I know when you're good. I know when you're bad. I watch. You know the story. Cutting to the chase. You bought them for your Aunt Esme way back in September when they were $2 a tin. $2 a tin for butter cookies. Imported butter cookies from Norway, no less. Yeah, you bought them for $2. $1.99 plus tax. Put them on the shelf. Said I'm going to wrap them up, give them to her. She's not going to notice the difference. Aunt Esme, God bless her, is her and a cat. And, you know... It's her and the cat, and you visit her once a year, and she gets her butter cookies, or you send it through your parents. I'm watching you, Richie. You send them through your parents, and she gets it, and she opens it up, and she eats the butter cookies because she's happy that her little Richie, who she still sees as being this tall, even though you are 37 years old and living in your parents' basement, she still sees you at that age. So God bless Aunt Esme. But you know, those cookies sat on the shelf, and one night you came in after a party, and you saw those butter cookies. And you busted into those butter cookies. And you ate poor Aunt Esme's butter cookies. And then you write to me and complain about it. Well, let me say this. First of all, you purchased it at one of those big retail outlets. Mart, that I'm not allowed to mention, or Get, or, you know, maybe even Wall. And you purchase them. And first of all, they're made in Norway. Mrs. Hockenberry makes them. It says imported on the thing, Norway. Norwegian butter cookies. And, you know, first of all, you bought cookies in a tin can. How fresh do you think those are going to be? From Norway, which is halfway around the world. You want to know something about Norway, Richie? It's cold and it's dark 90% of the time. Right behind Alaska and before the North Pole, Norway is the suicide capital of the world because it is cold and dark 90% of the time. So you bought these butter cookies for $2 that came all the way from Norway, and they're going to be a little dry. What's more, I know you're naughty because you were supposed to give them to your Aunt Esme and you didn't, you ate them. Let's try to stay out of Denver and those little shops and make us want to eat butter cookies there, Richie. So let's kind of cut Mrs. Hockenberger a break. Let's enjoy those butter cookies and, you know, have a good and safe winter. And God bless Mrs. Hockenberger and you know, they're in Norway. And, you know, just remember when you're complaining about that. But today I also have another message. I happen to be in Clydesdale, Indiana, where I was visiting the Rufus Nursing Home, and I ran into a lovely little lady, Mrs. Lance Daniels, who was 97. I was there to judge a talent contest that the seniors were having, and they were having a wonderful time today. And let me tell you, Mrs. Daniels was just a wonderful lady and spry for a woman at that age. She was able to juggle, whistle, and smoke a cigar while tap dancing at the same time. You can understand why she won the talent contest. And what's more, afterwards she came over to me and she said, "Oh, I'm so glad you came." And it made my day that she remembered me and lit up. Her face lit up and she looked at me and she said, I've always been a big fan. Ever since I was a child, I'm just a big fan of yours. And she said, "I loved you in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof." And I was like, okay. And she also mentioned that she loved several other films. And it took me a few minutes to catch on that she thought I was Burl Ives. So I was just happy that she, you know, got something out of it. And God bless her, you know, any woman who can, you know, tap dance, smoke a cigar, whistle, and juggle at the same time. She's allowed to have some lapses in memory. I didn't bother to tell her that Mr. Ives had been dead for quite a few years now. But God bless her. So this goes out to her. It's a scene from one of Burl Ives' big movies, and I hope she is watching and will enjoy this. Don't bother Big Daddy, because old Big Daddy is dying, and he knows you want the money. He knows you're just waiting for Big Daddy to keel over. You know that, Big Mama? You go and tell Maggie the cat to come down and tell Junior that I want to talk to them. Well, thank you and have a good evening. And thank you, Mrs. Daniels. I hope you have a wonderful year, and I'll see you next Christmas.